Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and today I want to talk about a lot of stuff. But first, I need to get my cup of coffee. Let me do that right quick. Alright, I'm back. I got me some coffee. I get to be out on the porch, but it's only 50 degrees today, so it's not super warm. But it's warm enough. I'm gonna shoot my vlog out here anyway. Okay, today I want to talk about a few things. I've got one is the whole COVID-19 deal. Various areas have different, I guess you could say, levels of shelter-in-place orders, and like that rooster's got decided. I guess he can hear me. But here where I am, they're not so strict about it, and we don't like have to go through checkpoints or any of that sort of thing, and we don't have the police like coming out here and running us off the streets if they see us and arresting us. We don't see any of that. You're seeing it in the news where people are getting arrested on the beach and all that sort of jazz. We're not seeing any of that here. It's more or less just a slower version of life as usual for us. It really is. I mean, we've spent a lot more time at home lately, and we've cooked a lot at home, to the point that we've got division of duties at the end of the meal. I wash the dishes. It's kind of like it was about 20 years ago, the way life was then. It's just slower. That's really all that's really different here. And of course, there's no restaurants to go to, and a lot of the other stores are closed right now. You can't get a haircut from a hair salon. You can't go to like a lot of the little clothing stores. But it's not as draconian as you see in some places. So that's why I'm able to get out and get like vlogs of walk-arounds and things. Like we're gonna go do a walk today, and it's not like real restrictive. But yeah, that's why I'm able to continue to produce the photo walk vlogs. As long as we don't get around somebody while we're walking, it's all good. Alright, second thing is, I finally finished my review on this Poweradd brand 10,000 milliamp hour power brick. Okay, and I thought, what am I going to do with it now that I've done my review on it? Because I got a power brick I keep in my camera bag already, so I thought I'm going to do a giveaway. I'm going to give this to somebody. This came to me completely without strings attached, so I thought, what better way to promote this product, because it's actually a really good product. They done a really good job. You'll see in the video, it doesn't live up to all of their claims, but it lives up to them well enough for the price. It's a good deal. I'm thinking about doing a themed photo type contest where it's gonna have a theme, so you submit the photo, hashtag it with the hashtag I come up with, and then I'll search those hashtags and I'll pick the winner from those hashtags, and not based on the quality of your photo or the settings you use or the fact that you live in a tropical paradise and you're able to get pictures of macaws, or none of that. Just the fact that you submitted a photo with the correct hashtag will be your entry. Since it's a photography channel, it seemed to make sense to me. I'm going to use a different one, and it's probably going to be something like Poweradd photo or something like that. Let's just use that. Yeah, the theme will be, let's do like a photography gear still life. So you'll need, it doesn't have to be like a large quantity of photography gear. It just needs to be gear related, okay? And then hashtag it Poweradd photo. Let's just do that. You can do it with an iPhone photo. I'm not going to put any limits on what tools you use to get your photo. As long as you have a photo and that hashtag, you're good to go to be entered to win this. And I'll draw the winner probably next weekend. Give it a week to collect up some entries and to let it propagate out a little bit. Hopefully I'll get more than one. That's what we'll do with this. So now that we've got this out of the way, yesterday I attempted to do a macro video. I still have to shoot the ending section of that video. trying to shoot a vlog or a tutorial-ish video while doing macro photography, I found to be very difficult. Setting up the camera, I really needed a different tripod, was part of the problem. But I was trying to set this little video rig I normally use to go on vlogging trips with. I tried to do it in my yard, because there's plenty of macro opportunities even in your own yard. And since we don't plant like regular grass in our yard, it's technically, our yard is weeds that we mow. So it's like a, you know, any rural American yard where it's not a real manicured yard where they plant specific grass seed. It's just whatever foliage comes up and you mow it and it looks like a yard. Well, mine is filled with all these little flowers from these little plants that are blooming. And they're little tiny flowers, and some of them are little tiny orchids. You'll see in the vlog. I've got a video coming out. Here's a preview photo. You can see they're just everywhere. Well, the yard's filled with them, so I was able to just shoot a lot of macro photos, but I finally threw in the towel and just did macro photography yesterday and enjoyed my time. What I wanted to talk about today in it is there's about 3 ways or 4 to do macro photography. One way is to buy a macro lens. That's obvious, but it is the simplest way. You can get autofocus macro lenses and you can get manual focus macro lenses. Now understand this, almost universally, all macro photographers tend to manual focus their cameras, especially if you have a camera with focus peaking and focus magnification. You're going to be able to focus exactly on the part of the image that you want to focus on. And the depth of field is so shallow that just the slightest movement of the focus ring will create dramatic depth of field changes on your image. It's really handy to be able to have absolute control over it. You're not really needing to get a autofocus macro lens. If you shoot Nikon, you can get older manual focus macro lenses that perform superbly. They just generate phenomenal images, and you can get them a lot of times for less than $100. Beautiful lenses like the 105mm micro Nikkor. It's an f4 lens. You're going to stop it down, so f4 doesn't matter, although it makes a beautiful portrait lens too. I have one. I have an early example that's not even AIS or AI converted. It's the one I done the video where I milled the notch in it. That lens produces stunning photos, and it's cheap. I also have a 60mm micro Nikkor. I also have the 200mm micro Nikkor f4. That lens is an incredible piece of equipment. It literally is. It's incredible. So I have 3 different macro lenses to choose from. I like to use the 105 with the extension tube if I'm going to be traveling somewhere, because it produces really good results and it's very inexpensive. So if I drop and break it because I'm off in the wilderness or whatever, I haven't really lost a lot. But when I'm here at home, I love that 200mm. Now the 200mm is kind of expensive, so you can get similar results with an extension tube in the 105 and be in for less than $100. Really. You can get I think I paid $60 for my 105 f4 micro Nikkor, and like I said, it's an early example and it works. Second way you can get a macro lens going is to buy a device called a reversing adapter. It has your camera mount, it's just a little flange, has your camera mount on one side and it has a filter thread on the other, and you literally take your lens off the camera, flip it around backwards, screw it onto the filter thread, and then relock it on your camera backwards. This works really well for 50mm lenses. They seem to be a real popular reverse lens operation. Reversing lenses will produce incredible macro photography, and it's real cheap. I think them little reversing adapters are like $8 or $10. They're not much. That's the second way. The third way is extension tubes. Extension tubes allow you to take pretty much any lens and make it a macro lens. What you're doing is you're allowing to magnify the image by moving the camera or moving the lens closer to the subject. When you put that extension in there, you allow the lens to focus closer. So extension tubes are a really, really economical way of doing it as well. The extension tubes I bought have the electrical contacts in them that are basically passed through, so that like if you've got an autofocus lens, it'll run it and it'll give it metering information and all that. And I thought I wanted that, but at the end of the day, I haven't used it. You can get the simple ones. There's two kinds. There's the kind that fit the flange on your camera, your bayonet that lock on, and then there's the kind that screw together in a stack. So you have like the base, and then you have rings that literally thread on, and those are even cheaper. Yeah, I think you can get those extension rings for like $10. So you can get into macro cheap. The fourth way to do it is to get a lens that's like a filter, but it's a macro magnifier lens. It goes on the front of a traditional regular lens, and it turns a regular lens into a macro lens. It's just it looks like a real thick filter, and it just screws into the filter thread of your lens, and it's a magnifier. I haven't used those much, and I really don't know of many people that have, but it's an option. But I honestly wouldn't buy that when you can just get the extension tubes that generate pretty much the exact same result without the potential for lens problems. Like, you know, if you got poor quality glass in your magnifier, then it's going to make your images look either muddy or have chromatic aberration or whatever, you know, because that company may not be able to grind glass as good as Canon or Nikon or Sony or whoever. So if an extension tube is hollow, it introduces no lens elements to the system, so you still get the same lens quality, you just get more magnification. At the end of the day, if I was going to recommend someone dabble in macro, I would tell them to get extension tubes. A little set of 3, you get like a little short, a medium, and a long one. And you can configure them in multiple configurations. Extension tubes are cheap, and they allow you to do it and get really phenomenal results. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is the live stream from last week. It seems we inadvertently used copyrighted music in a couple of the little things that Aaron had built up for us to use, like the intermission thing he put up, and then I think the little test pattern had some music in the background, and it was copyright protected. Unfortunately, we thought we was drawing from public domain, but apparently we wasn't. It flagged my video. It turns the live stream into a video after the stream is over, and then it puts it on my channel as a viewable video that people that miss the stream can watch. Well, since it flagged it for copyright potential problems, it flagged both. Well, what it does is it flagged it. I went in and deleted the intermission clip out of the middle, and then it reflagged the re-rendered video. So rather than risk a copyright strike, I went ahead and just deleted the stream. Well, in that stream was the photo submissions from last week's project. The photography project was self-portraits. So to bring those back onto the channel, what I'm going to do is put them in here. Those submissions were incredible. I loved all of them. You guys done an excellent job, and I just wanted to share those on the channel so that people could see that the interaction and the fun from doing these projects is worthwhile. It's worth fooling with. Now, what I did notice was photographers are really reluctant to photograph themselves. So I'm hoping next week with the new project, which is timekeeping, and which is what mechanical watches and clocks is what we want, but we're doing it as basically called timekeeping. And we're hoping that next week's live stream, Thursday at 5:30, we'll have more submissions. We're just trying to have some fun, guys. You know, it gives you something to do. It gives you a project to work on. It gives you skill sets to build, especially when a lot of you can't get out and go anywhere. You know, some people are basically confined to quarters, and this gives you something to do even though you're confined to quarters. You can still do this. You can find you a good window with some good window light, and you can do a good photo of the subject of timekeeping. Now, we did cut around and joke some on the stream about no Apple Watches and all that, but if you don't have a mechanical clock available and all you've got your Apple Watch, by all means, use it. I'm not going to limit the creative mind with such constraints as you can't use a digital timepiece. You know, we wanted mechanical, but if you don't have access, you don't have access. And there, you know, I don't want to punish somebody because they don't have access to a piece of equipment for a prop. So use what you have, produce a photo, email it to the email address in the description, and we'll put it on next week's stream. So with all that, I appreciate you guys watching. Hashtag your photos with the hashtag GeicoTap. We're eventually going to start using that. I've been searching the hashtags and liking the photos. It's really awesome. But until next time, get your camera out. Go take a picture with it. All right? We'll see you later. Bye-bye.